Welcome back to the Let's Talk Baseball podcast. It's been too long. I'm your host, Mike Herrera, joined by my good friend and co-host, Jacob Payne. And boy, we got some topics to cover. It's Miller time in the West. Bobby Miller makes his debut as the Dodgers go into the Braves race series. They go 4-6 in this road trip. We're gonna dive into it. Some Angels, Marlins. Marlins bring out the broomsticks. Padres, Yanks. Tatis is now the villain of the MLB. Let's get into it. Jacob, how you been, man?
Doing well. Been a lot of exciting baseball to watch, to pay attention to. A lot of what we expected, some of what we didn't expect. Very excited to get into it today.
Let's get into it. Your standings as of right now, Jacob, in the AL East. Let's start there. The standings in the AL East. Here we go. In first place, of course. I mean, I don't think it's anyone guesses wrong. 39 and 17 Tampa Bay Rays. Oh my goodness. The Baltimore Orioles 34 and 20. The Yankees 32 and 23. The Sox 28 and 25. And the Blue Jays 28 and 26, 10 games out of first. We'll get into that a little bit. Twins, they're 28 and 26. And in second place in that Central, my Detroit Tigers, they're 25 and 27. They're gonna come up. I'm telling you, Jacob, this team's special. The Cleveland Guardians, they're 24 and 29 in third. The White Sox are 22 and 33. And the Royals are 17 and 38. The West. Texas 34-19, man. I mean, what else can we say about them? They've been amazing. Astros 31 and 22. Mariners, they've been winning their couple games, 7 and 3 in their last 10, 28 and 25, and the Angels are 28 and 26. If they lost 3 in a row, is the curse hitting them, Jacob? We're going to get into that a little bit. Braves, their magic keeps going, 32 and 21. Miami 28-26, Mets 27-27. Yikes, that's not what you want to see. Phillies 25-28. That's not what you want to see. 23 and 30. Your Washington Nationals playing a lot better than anyone expected them to, and you know what? Good for them. The Milwaukee Brewers 28 and 25. Pittsburgh 26-27. Yikes. Cincinnati is in third place, by the way, Jacob. Just in case you're running. They're 24 and 29. The Cubs are 23 and 30, and your St. Louis Cardinals, they've been hot, but they're still 24 and 32 in that last place. Still a lot of ground to cover. And of course, in your NL West, 32 and 22 Dodgers, 31 and 23 Arizona. Uh, San Francisco Giants, 28-26. What? We'll get into that a little bit. Your San Diego Padres, 24 and 29, and of course the Colorado Rockies at 24 and 31. Now, Jacob, a series I want to get into a little bit. Obviously, a big series for baseball this weekend for us. The Tampa Bay Rays Los Angeles Dodgers series was a biggie to say the least. This series had everything you probably a baseball fan, let's say, would want from it. It was a great series all around. 9-3 Rays in the first game, 6-5 yesterday, or 6-5 Saturday, Dodgers, and of course last night 11-10 Rays. What a game that was! I was watching that game back twice. The Dodgers hit back-to-back homers. The offense is hot on kind of all cylinders. Not a lot of some people are slumping, but some guys aren't. JD Martinez has been on a tear. Freddie Freeman's been on a tear. Smith's been on a tear. It's the guys that you expect. He had a couple bombs. Trace Thompson with a 3-for-3 day with a walk at the office. There you go, kid. Let's break out of that slump. But unfortunately, as a Dodger fan, it is not enough to beat the Rays that yesterday. So that was an interesting game. Muncy's injury, or not injury, we'll get into it a little bit later. But I have my opinions about this series. But yeah, Jacob, go ahead, give me a rundown as a Dodger and baseball fan. What you saw from this series.
Well, if you're coming off a road trip and you see that you are 4-6, 4 wins, 6 losses, that might be a little scary, a little what's going on with the Dodgers? Are they falling off? And then I want you to consider the opponents that we had to play. We had to play the red hot Cardinals, who hit a real hot streak in between the garbage start off that they had and a little bit of a falling off the past few games. And then we had to go play the Braves, who are no slouch. Second best team in the NL, and then had to go play the Rays, who are the best team in baseball. So, considering all that, obviously starting off with the Cardinals series was it was not great for the Dodgers. The offense put up over 6 runs a game, but the pitching was absolutely depleted and couldn't stop the scoring to save their lives. Um, a couple of good games in that series, but a couple of not so good ones. Moving on to the Braves, the Brave series was great. I think it had everything that you were looking for. I mean, really, just three great games from all the teams. Dodgers could have swept, very close to it. Didn't work out in the last game, but the offense was going, and the pitching really stepped it up during the Brave series. With the Rays series, man, was that interesting? Two great games. The first game against the Rays didn't really go great. Offense wasn't incredible. Pitching couldn't get it done. But game two, man, was that a nail biter? Exciting. And then game three turned out to be even more exciting. Both starting pitchers gave up at least 7 runs. Um, yeah, wow. Just really a couple of key takeaways. First of all, the offenses, both the Rays and especially the Dodgers, are just hitting stride right now. Absolutely incredible. Like you said, Freddie Freeman is on a tear. Um, JD Martinez is absolutely pounding the ball recently since he got back from his back strain. CT3 had a great game. Trace Thompson really was overdue for a great game. He had one. Muncy was great until he had to go out after he was walking off the field very gingerly. Even players like Rojas, Miguel Vargas, both had key at bats and key places. Um, it just overall the offense was incredible, to say the least. I mean, it was, I think, the second game in the past 11 or 12 years that we have hit 5 home runs and lost. Um, it was tough. It was tough. Again, it was another overused bullpen situation. I mean, you had Gavin Stone coming out, and he's not ready for the big leagues right now, and he shouldn't need to be. He should be a guy that comes up with not a lot of pressure, goes out there, throws the ball a couple of times, and then goes back to the minors and learns from his big league starts. That way, at some point, he can come back up and refine what he's got working. It is what it is. Sometimes you're going to get tagged up. I mean, this kid had to face some of the best rosters out there. He had to face the Phillies, he had to face the Braves, he had to face the Rays, and if he's gonna continue starting for us, he's gonna have to play against the Yankees. I mean, come on, like that's a nightmare setup if I've ever dreamed up of one for a rookie starter, and he's taken him on pretty decently. He was great against the Phils. He was pretty good against the Braves, and he had a tough start against the Rays. One of the best offenses, I would say, the second best offense in all of baseball, second to that of probably the Rangers. So, all things considered, not bad. Phil Bickford getting a lot of hate towards him. He had to throw like 45 pitches for a second time in the last 2 weeks. You shouldn't need to do that. You shouldn't need to throw more than 20 pitches, much less 45. Giving up 2 to 3 runs, I mean, in my eyes, that's not all that bad. And realistically, it wouldn't have been had Gavin Stone not given up 7 runs. Um, so I mean, all things considered, it was a really great road trip for them, and I hope they don't go into this homestand thinking that that road trip was really bad. Because when you look at all the circumstances right now, the Dodgers just need to survive. They've got a bunch of injuries with all the pitching. Their bullpen is overworked. Their offense is the only reason they're getting any wins right now, and that's okay. Right now, they just need to survive. Unless they have some rookies step up or they make some trades right now, which I don't think they're going to, at least not yet. Um, they just need to survive. If they can play 500 ball over the next, 3 or so weeks, they get Julio Urias back, they get Michael Grove back, they get more depth to their pitching. It won't be as much of an issue going down the stretch, especially with the way that they started off. They don't need every single win right now. They just need to kind of float to the top up until they get their pitching back.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, like you said, man, the offense has been Nothing but great. I mean, Muncy, a guy who was struggling, had kind of a breakout series for him. Not a breakout, but he had a couple of bombs. One in that Saturday game, one in that Sunday game, and he was looking like he's back in full form. But obviously, hamstring cramp as it is. He said he wanted to get in front of it, and that he'll go under further testing to make sure there's no, it's not a big thing. Because I think the quote from Muncy was that I just want to make sure it's a day-to-day thing rather than a month thing. At the top of it, I think that was and honestly, that's a really smart move by him. He's not in Atlanta tonight against the Nationals, but that's fine. Best of wish to him. Chris Taylor, man, I'm gonna give him a shout out. 500 slugging percentage. He not only did he hit 2 home runs in that last game where he was slumping a little bit. He has been bouncing back and having a better year than last year. Obviously, 213 average, 276 OPB is not the best stats you want, but compared to his stats last year, it's good for him. That's improvement. Smith has been going. Trace Thompson had a nice game, like we said, great for him. Vargas's May has been great. I mean, his power, he's unlocked it. The bullpen, like you said, it's overworked, and it's not where it should be. If we're talking about,
So real quick,
yeah,
I just want to touch on the fact that Chris Taylor, 4 at-bats, saw 4 pitches. He hit 2 home runs, a single, and walked. I mean, talk about having a day, man. He went out there with a plan and he ambushed the hell out of that pitcher. Just straight up. And I just when he is hot, he's got one of the most beautiful right-handed swings in all of baseball. When he is right, that full swing of his is just so nice, so smooth. When he gets his arms extended, man, he does not miss the ball. It's just when he's on it, he's on it.
yeah, absolutely, man. Love to see that from CT. But as you said, I mean, the bullpen, or as I'm going, the bullpen has been overworked, and that's a fact. I mean, if we're looking at this series, yeah, the offense was great for both teams, but the Dodgers, not only starters weren't the greatest, their bullpen wasn't the greatest. The Rays bullpen wasn't the greatest. The Rays bullpen, what was it? They got lost. Sorry, they lost a couple runs in this Saturday game and that Sunday game. So both teams that kind of took some bruises from this series, not really injury wise, except for Muncy, but they're getting overworked, man. A lot of these pitchers are getting overworked, which is kind of a question mark down the stretch, especially for the Dodgers, which is kind of why you're kind of nice that you kind of have this series before the Yankees. I'm not saying that the Nationals it's an easy sweep, but you'd rather be facing the Nationals than the Padres or the Braves or the Phillies right now or any other team. So to take that start to have guys like Miller and Gonsolin, and maybe possibly even Syndergaard on Wednesday. Go out there and give you a nice 5-6 innings. If you can get that every night for this series, that's a win for your bullpen, man, and for your pitchers. That's what you definitely want to see. Obviously. Um, that's going back. I'm just gonna yeah. There's a quick stat I wanted to show you, Jacob, and it's kind of hit me hard when I saw this. I'm gonna give you the ERA of two pitchers right now, okay? And I want you to tell me who do you think is whose. Player A, his ERA is a nice solid 6.27. Player B's ERA is a 4.88.
What teams are we talking about here?
This
The
is
Dodgers,
Dodgers and Nationals.
Dodgers and Nationals. Okay. Let's see. Starters or
Starter, starter,
anybody?
starter, starter, starter.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna say Josiah Gray is the four, the high
88.
four, and I'm gonna say Syndergaard is the six, the high six.
Yeah, Syndergaard is the 6.27. The 4.88 ERA belongs to Patrick Corbin. Yeah, yeah. And obviously, well, one, congrats to Patrick Corbin for having an ERA under 5. Second of all, Syndergaard, man, his project so far has not worked out at all. Opponents are hitting 298 against him. Again, that 6.27 ERA is not. Obviously, he wants to bring back the velo, but he stopped worrying about that at the moment. He's just trying to figure out another way to attack hitters, and it's not working out right now.
I can't blame him right now. He is in a bad spot right now. As is. The Dodgers rotation is depleted, very, very depleted. And so he's got to stay out there. But he is battling a nasty blister on his finger. And Michael, I don't know if you've tried to pitch with a blister on your finger, but it is a nightmare. I mean, think of paper cuts, but like 10 times as worse because you have to put all the pressure using that index finger, and that's what causes all the spin, right? And you're trying to throw with a blister on your index finger. I mean, come on. I'd rather be punished, with jamming nails in my fingers than having to pitch at a major league level with a blister on my index finger. That has got to be awful. Um, and but he doesn't really have the time. He doesn't have the space to take some time off and really heal up because he's in a pitching rotation that's utilizing two rookies, not because we want them up there, but because we have to have them up there. He's in a nightmare scenario right now, and what's tough is because he's he is pinpoint accurate when he's on, but he's not always on because of that blister, and I think that's really really affecting him right now. In the worst of ways.
Absolutely. I totally forgot that he had that blister in that Brewer series, and that's on me. I'd say I forgot about. But yeah, man, Syndergaard has not found it. Hopefully he does, because down the stretch, and especially right now, it's what we're going to need. But hey, how about Bobby Miller? Here's my Miller Light shout out. 5 innings of work in his first start. What was it? 5 minutes. Oh, whoa. Sorry, my computer is not okay. Can we? Can my computer actually work for a second? Sorry. I think it was 5 innings, 1 run, 5 Ks. And he did great, man. He did great. You love to see, yeah, 5 innings, 5 Ks, and a whip of one. He did great, man. He limited the walks. He limited the on the hits, and that's definitely what you want to see. He showed a lot of emotion in that first start, and honestly, I think that's what you love to see too. I saw an interview. I think it was on the AM 570 where it's like, you know what this kid reminds me of? Walker Buehler, and I gotta say, I 100% agree with him. I mean, from the wind up to the intensity that he brings with whether it's velo or to himself as a player of baseball. I mean, that's what you love to see. I mean, he said I mean, I think in that his post game interview was awesome too. How he was like, you know what? I mean, I did not know how exactly I was going to navigate this, but I had one of the best catchers in baseball out there, Will Smith, guiding me through it, and that's just awesome, man. Two guys who got together in that system. But yeah, he's going for us tonight. That's what you love to see. But from Bobby Miller, and the bullpen again has taken a lot of shots, and it's not the greatest. I'm gonna give a little shout out, however, to Victor Gonzalez, man. He has been lights out. Obviously, that inning, where the Rays did score 1 run, in that last game yesterday to make it 11-10, but that kind of wasn't his fault. Freeman, kind of took it as a mental note. It was a slow chopper at first, I think it was, and it was just misplayed. But other than that, this series, I mean, from the Dodgers' perspective, it wasn't that bad. I mean, if you're looking at a team that's as great as the Rays right now, and you're taking 2 out of 3 from them, I mean, you're not getting swept right now. Honestly, that's a plus for any team. And the Dodgers team that was coming off of a not great, what would have been? It was a series against the Cardinals and a great series against the Braves, but they're getting tired right now, and so I'm hoping for them at least that they can take this series against the Nationals to recharge. On the Rays side of things, I don't know what else you can say about the Rays, Jacob. They're incredible. And I don't know, they've been losing more and more games against teams better than 500, and I know our staff is depleted. And as much as I want to be like this team is not gonna make it down the stretch, this team being so good as it is, I think they can clinch a spot in the playoffs already, or even a division title.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at their roster, it's not a flashy roster by any means, but every single person on this roster is going hard. Is they're at the top of their game right now. They are all peaking at the same exact time. They are playing so well, Michael. They were able to bench Randy Rosarena for a game and still put up 11 runs. I mean that just sells it right there. You got Luke Rayleigh who's playing absolutely incredible right now.
903
Um,
OPS.
I mean, not to say that he was bad on the Dodgers. He wasn't doing anything special to where they were able to release him. But man, he's making a case for being an everyday starter, and he sure deserves it right now. I mean, if you look up and down that lineup, again, on paper, you wouldn't say that this roster is special. I mean, we weren't really convinced of the Rays before the season. And I think that's fair. If you look at all the guys, you look at what they've done so far, none of them really jump out at you, other than really Randy Arozarena, who really started off his career real hot. Was coming off of a World Baseball Classic where he just like really stamped his name, rubber stamped his name, on the game of baseball, and really was like that almost that Jazz Chisholm guy where he's just so cool and everybody wants to be him, everybody wants to play like him, get his signature with his little stance that he does after the home run. I mean, he's that cool youth baseball guy that you just want on your team. Um, but that was really it. Like you had Tyler Glass now who was out with injury at the beginning of the season. You had a couple of unproven pitchers like Springs, who unfortunately is going to be out for the rest of the season. Really, really like I, as a Dodgers fan, wouldn't want to see him the rest of the season. But I, as a baseball fan, would have really liked to see what he could have done with this season. I mean, he really started out like he could have been making a case for the Cy Young. Obviously, it was very early in the season, but man, he was really hot for a long while. But these pitchers for this team don't even really need to be that special because their offense is doing it all.
He's incredible.
Their offense is absolutely backpacking the team, and not to say that their pitchers aren't doing their jobs. They don't need to. That their pitchers needed to give up less than 10 runs in that last game, and they did, or less than 11 runs in the last game, and they did just barely, but they did. Okay, and that's what they mattered. I mean their starter went out and gave up, what was it, 8
It
runs,
was a
9
7, 8,
runs,
7, 8 runs. Yeah, 7. And he still,
and
by the way, went
and
5, 6
he
innings.
did his job exactly. That he did exactly what he needed to. He needed to go out there, chew up some innings, and give up less than the enemy team. And he did exactly that. He gave up 8 runs and went like 5 or 6 innings. That's all they needed from him. I mean, just it's really crazy. I genuinely didn't believe that this Rays team was that special, especially with the beginning of the season that they had. It was a very weak roster that they were going up against within the first month of baseball, and so I wasn't convinced. But you know what? After that series with the Dodgers, granted it was a weaker Dodgers team, but man, did they play baseball. I mean, it was a scary lineup. I remember every inning, it's like, okay, how many runs are we gonna give up this inning? It was that mentality every inning. So they are in my opinion front runners for the World Series right
Oh,
now.
absolutely,
And I'm not saying that because of their record. I'm saying that because of how good they've looked the past few weeks.
absolutely. Jacob, they have 9 guys over an 800 OPS. That's an entire lineup with an 800 OPS. The lowest of those is an 833 with Taylor Walls, who out of nowhere has been a star third baseman for them, and honestly, good for them. But they are just an incredible team, Jacob. Um, here's a little question, Jacob. If I told you before the season that the Rockies would end up winning both of their series against the Mets, would you believe me?
No, I would slap you and tell you to wake up because you're sleeping and dreaming up a firestorm. I I think what's even better than that, Michael, is not only did they beat the Mets, they are one game back from the Padres right now.
Oh, don't even say that.
They are a game away from not being last place in the NL West, which we went in saying this NL West could be very competitive at the top. And granted, it still kind of is. I mean, you've got the Diamondbacks playing really well still. They went on a quite the slide in the I want to say around 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. But they're still playing well, 31 and 23. That's a great clip. And then you got the Giants out there who are playing just over 500 ball. I didn't really see that coming, but okay, sure, sure. Cool, cool. They're 7-3 in their last 10. That's great.
Dude,
Um
their prospects are making a difference. Patrick Bailey, Casey Schmidt, they're playing fun baseball out there, and good for them.
yeah, and then we come to the bottom of the NL West. Man, oh man, those Padres. I mean, I was the first one to harp on them to say you don't do that to a Hall of Famer, a future Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer, and look at look what's happened. Look what's happened since. Um, I mean, they get to play the Marlins and the Cubs these next few series, which the
The Cubs,
Marlins
who
are
just shut out the Tampa Bay Rays.
hey, everybody's got a down game, okay? You got the Marlins who are playing pretty decent baseball right now. I mean, they're hovering at 500, but good for them. And then you got the Cubs who started out super hot. Everybody thought they were going to be like this team that nobody saw coming. Maybe they would dominate the Central, especially since the Cardinals were not playing baseball. Um, and now they're 23 and 30. So, hey, what goes around comes around. But man, dude, these Padres, I mean, they need to find it. They need to find it soon. Because what I'm concerned at, what's gonna happen for them at the trade deadline?
Dude.
Okay, because you got a couple of contracts that are coming up in this next year or two. You've got like millions and millions and millions of dollars on the books right now. What what is the plan to go for this year? I mean, there's a couple of different things that can happen here. One, which I think is the least likely that'll happen, is you can fire sale anybody of value that doesn't have a long contract. Do I think that's going to happen? No, no, I don't. But it is something that is possible. Okay. Um, I don't think that's going to happen, but it's an option. Option two, they do absolutely nothing, which I think is the most likely scenario here, especially if they continue to not play well. Um, it's not smart to go out and waste anything on a year that's a dud. Now, I'm not saying this year is already a dud. It's still kind of early, but it's not going well. And if we continue at this pace and we go to the trade deadline, they're not above 500, there's no sense in making a big push, especially in a division where you got the Dodgers playing as they are and the Diamondbacks playing as they are. I mean, even if one of those teams falls off, you got the other team picking up the slack. I don't see a world where if they continue as they are playing with the pieces that they have, not above 500, they're not going to do anything at the trade deadline. At least that's the smartest thing in my eyes.
If you
Then
told
we've
me,
got option
sorry,
3, which go
sorry, go
go ahead.
ahead. For the Padres, if you told me right now that the hottest player on your team was Rougned Odor, I would have laughed at you. I would have laughed at you. And I don't know. Hey, maybe them signing Mets legend Gary Sanchez to a major league deal is gonna turn their season around. But I don't know, man. Continue.
And then you got the other thing, which I think is possible, but I just don't think is smart, is for them to go all out and sign as many free agents as they can to salvage what they can from this season. If they hit a hot streak between now and the player break, the All Star break, um, then maybe it'll make a little bit more sense to go all in at the trade deadline. But I just don't see it, man. I mean, like, what are you gonna do? You have a roster that's got the top four, arguably the best top four in baseball, at least on paper. Where are you gonna fill? Like, what holes are you trying to fill here? I mean, you got Trent Grisham, who's a Gold Glove center fielder. You got Jake Cronenworth. You got Ha-Sung Kim. Uh, I mean, what are those pieces? You got Odor, who is, like you said, one of their best guys in their lineup right now. Who are you gonna cut or send to the minors or put on the bench that's gonna fix this lineup? I mean, are we gonna attack the pitching staff? Maybe we fix the pitching staff, but like, who are you gonna go for? Who do you think is gonna add enough to your team that you're gonna make enough of a comeback to either snipe a a, a spot from the wild card or go so far as beating out the Dodgers or the Diamondbacks for the top dog in this division? I don't realistically see as they're playing right now, as they're doing right now. I don't know what they got to do. They got to go chop off a bunch of heads of chickens. They got to reverse this curse somehow. They posted a smiling picture of Kershaw. That hasn't worked so far. They got to do something. They got to do something. They got to do something fast because I mean they're looking a lot like the Mets right now. Really not good.
Yeah.
Um, and with spending way too much money to be not good. So they
Jacob,
got to do something quick, man. They've got to start making this roster not be a complete joke. I mean, they're the laughing stock of the West Coast right now. Realistically, if you look at all the West teams, and I'm including AL teams, there's nobody more that there's not a better team that's playing worse than the Padres right now. And that's
that's
considering the Angels are on the West.
dude.
They should have that. They should have that on every year. They should have that every year. The best team playing the worst. That should be reserved for the Angels every year. And it just isn't. It just isn't.
Jacob, in that last game, they tagged Garrett Cole for 6 runs, and they still lost. One of the best pitchers in baseball right now. They tagged him for 6 runs, and they still lost.
Can't do that. You can't do that. You can't go up against a Cy Young pitcher. You can't go up against a Hall of Fame pitcher and get 6 runs against him and lose. You just can't, man. I don't know if that's the pitching staff or maybe they just didn't do enough offensively. Maybe it was a defensive mix-up. Whatever the case, you can't be losing those games, man. You can't afford to lose those games. Not in today's baseball. You're going to face a lot of great pitchers. You're going to get dominated from time to time. You cannot afford to go up against one of those pitchers and lose when you put up 6 runs. When your offense puts up 6 runs, at that point it's on the pitching staff. If you're
Yeah.
losing game after putting up 6 runs or more, it's on the pitching staff. Yeah, I mean, even if you're going up against a Yankees lineup who is still not that incredible as of right now, they got back Aaron Judge, but they're still not the powerhouse team, right? Right. So if you're putting up 6 runs, man, you can't drop that. You can't lose those games. Not against Garrett Cole. You gotta take those wins. You gotta get them when you can. That's rough. That's tough, man.
Absolutely. In that same game, Darvish only went 2.2 innings, 7 hits, 7 runs, 2 Ks, and a homer. You can't be doing that, man. You can't be doing that in any game at this point, especially to the Yankees, who are such a great team. Xander Bogaerts, their huge addition of the offseason, is only slugging 397, has a below 800 OPS. Same thing with Jake Cronenworth. What the heck? Sorry, my computer just went and like crashed for a second. But yeah, Jake Cronenworth again also has a below 800 OPS. Like, it's absurd. This team should not be as bad as it is. And I don't know what's not clicking for them. If there's a lack of leadership in the clubhouse, if there's too many egos in the clubhouse, I don't know. But there's too much that could be going right for this team that it's impossible for things to be going wrong. I mean, the only thing they got going for them is that Tatis is the new villain of the MLB. He's
Oh yeah.
orchestrating.
He
He's orchestrating.
cemented that. He cemented that in New York. I mean, granted, New York fans are I they're New York fans. Um and I mean, you had to expect getting those, but hey, to put up numbers in the Bronx while you're getting booed and stuff, I mean that's fuel to the fire. That's fuel to the fire. And on the one hand, I have expressed my dislike of Tatis for the way that things played out. But I gotta say, it was really funny to watch those videos of him, you know, orchestrating the booze, the steroid chants, and then going up and hitting bombs just about every game. I gotta say that was quite funny.
Yeah, good on the Yanks, man. They beat up a team that they're winning. They're winning games they should be. Rizzo's been great for them. Judge has been Aaron Judge. Volpe has been quieting down, but still putting up some decent numbers. The Yankees, man, they're getting people back and they're figuring it out. And honestly, as a baseball fan, kind of good for them, as they should be. The Padres, if you don't figure it out, I'm fully putting the panic button. Jacob, the lowest starting
Yeah,
pitcher.
we're getting very
Yeah,
close to. I'm saying this for a couple of teams.
yeah.
Mainly the Blue Jays. Let's see who else.
The Guard Dogs.
The Guardians. I think that ship's already sailed. I think that panic button's already been pressed. But we're getting real like where we are a week to 2 weeks away from pressing the button on the Blue Jays, the
Padres
Cardinals, the Phillies, the Mets, and the
and the
Padres.
Padres.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Those teams are it is too much. We are too far into the season to see them playing like garbage. All of these rosters that I've outlined are way too good to be playing this badly.
Jacob, the best pitcher on the starting pitcher on the Padres is Michael Waka with a 3.45 ERA. Blake Snell, their ace, who by the way is a free agent at the end of the season, he has a 5.04 ERA with a 1.56 WHIP. Yeah, yeah, it's not happy in San Diego right now. It's not. And honestly, as a Dodger fan, love to see it. As a baseball fan, what are you doing? Like it's just absolute shambles. But yeah, man, going back to that Mets Rockies series, absurd. There is no world at all where the Rockies should be taking one, let alone two series from the Mets in the entire. If the Jacob, if the Mets and Rockies were in a wild card spot, tied for the last wild card spot, the Rockies would have it because the Mets lost both of their series. That's unfathomable. That cannot be happening in that series against the Mets. Mets won the first one 5-2, but then the Rockies won the second one 10-7 and 11-10. The Mets pitching gave up a total of 21 runs to the Rockies. And again, it's Coors Field, but 21 runs? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, there's no excuse. I don't care what field you're playing at. I don't care if you're playing on the moon. The Mets pitching should not be giving up that much runs. I mean, Steve Cohen is just foaming at the mouth right now. I mean, really, just you spent this much money to be 500 after 52 games. We are getting scarily close to that halfway mark. And your team that you paid over $500 million for is 27-27. I mean, I can't say that I didn't kind of call this at beginning of the season, saying that there are two franchises that are just cursed
Curse.
beyond belief right now. That being the Mets and the Angels. The Mets are really proving that right now. I mean, really proving that. Granted, they're only 5.5 games out of first place. That's not that far. That's a lot of ground considering the Braves do not look like they're slowing down anytime soon.
Absolutely. Jacob, Um, by the way, they're in the standings below a Marlins team with a Sandy Alcantara who has a 4.84 ERA. The Cy Young winner of last year is doing a lot better than probably I don't know half of this pitching staff for the Mets. Jacob, their big signing of the offseason and Justin Verlander, who he's gonna replace DeGrom. We don't need him. 5 games, 4.80 ERA. I don't know what you want me to tell you. Kodai Senga almost has a 4 ERA. Adam Ottavino, 4.58 ERA. Cookie Carrasco, he just came back and he has a 6.75 ERA. You could keep going down the list and you're not going to be seeing a whole lot. Their best performance of the year was Luis Guillorme. Like, what do you want me to say, Jacob? What do you?
I mean, at this point, if I'm the Mets, You got to get everybody together, everybody in the clubhouse, everybody a part of the team, staff, whatever. Get them in the same room, and you gotta give it to them. And I'm talking, this has got to come from a leader on the team, whether it be the manager or one of the captains or whatnot. You got to get everybody together and just say, guys, it's time we stop messing around. It's time that we start playing like we're the best team in baseball, because we went into this season being the best team in baseball. I don't care what the rankings were from John Boy or Talking Baseball or MLB, whatever. They were the best team going into the season. Hands down, period, flat out. They just were. Looking at their pitching rotation, looking at their lineup, looking at how much money they've spent to get where they are, they were the best team in baseball. There's no question about it. And they are playing like they don't even want to make playoffs. They are one game out of the wild card right now. I mean, obviously we're not at the end of the season, but come on, you guys. Get your shit together. Get your act together, man. Like now. It it needs to happen. It needs to happen now, because you're going against this Braves team that is not going to slow down. And I'm not just saying this for the Mets. I'm talking about the Phillies too. Phillies got to get their stuff together too. They're
Absolutely.
not they're not in the same exact position that the Mets are, because the Mets have spent way more money. But same thing, man. I mean, these two lineups are just way too good to be 500 and below. I mean, just embarrassing. They were supposed to be I mean, they were supposed to be the most competitive division in my eyes, at least in terms of the NL, with the Braves, Mets, and Phillies.
We had
And
the Braves and the Phillies over. We had the Mets and the Phillies over the Braves at the beginning of the season.
absolutely we did. And I think that was fair. I think that was fair. Looking at their rosters, looking at them on paper, looking at what they can do potential wise, I think the Mets and Phillies dominate the Braves. But you know what? Who's been playing way better? The
The
Braves.
Braves.
Who has not? The Mets and the Phillies. Even the Marlins have been playing better than these teams, man. Come on. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing, man. The Marlins could barely fill their stadium to like 20% of their capacity
That's
last
ugh.
season. And the only reason they did is because Sandy Alcantara was going out and throwing complete game shutouts. I mean, geez. That's it. I don't know what's going wrong, man, but they've got to get this figured out. I mean, these teams that I named have got to get it figured out soon, because we are coming up at the halfway point, and it is it's becoming a real big issue. First couple weeks in the season, not that big a deal if you're not performing. Right now, it's getting there.
Absolutely. It's insane. I'm gonna give a little award out to a Mets player. Mets player is probably the only person doing great right now. How about Francisco Alvarez? In his last 7 games, a 423 average, a 483 OPB, a 962 slugging. That's what you want him to do. I mean, granted, he had a lot of great hits at cores, but and that might be the cores effect you can say. But even going back to his last 15 games, 315 average, 383 OPB, 778 slugging. So if he can keep that up for them, maybe they have a shot. But again, you can't have one person carrying your entire team. You just can't. Unless you're the Yanks. Let's go to the Phillies and Braves series. However, Jacob, like you said, it's almost panic time on these Phillies. But honestly, I'm gonna give them a little clap, an applause. They managed to split the series against the Braves, and honestly, good for them. I expected the Braves to win or even sweep the series, but no, they put up some good games. After obviously the game last night was not as close, but in the first game they lost 8-5. The Friday they won 6-4, and that Saturday they won 2-1. They're winning games. Congrats, by the way, to Craig Kimbrell, to 400 saves. But Kenley got there first, so I don't know what to tell you. But from Philly's perspective, I don't know what else to say. I mean, you have Kyle Schwarber, who not only has a 168 average, Jacob, he only has a 408 slugging. Ugh.
He's got the worst average in baseball right now. Yikes. Big
That's
ol' yikes. And that's considering there are athletics people that are in that
oh,
category
don't even say
that
that.
are that have
Oh,
a better average. I mean, we're talking You have a lower average than anyone on a team that has 10 wins. Yep.
That's awful. Want to know what's funny about that, Jacob? The next lowest average, the second to last, Trent Grisham of the Padres. Yeah, there you go about that. But the Phillies, man, they've had part of the best been clicking for them. Nick Castellanos has finally broken out into what he's needed to do, and great on him. Brandon Marsh has slowed down a lot. Bryson Stott has slowed down a lot. Trey Turner's mom's booing him. He sucks. He admits it. I don't know what you have to say after that. JT Realmuto has a below 800 OPS. Bryce Harper has been great for them since coming back. And when the offense is going, yeah, it can be going. But again, sometimes if your offense is going 4 or 5 runs and your starting pitching is giving up 6, 7, you're not gonna win games. And their pitching has not been great. I mean, Zach Wheeler has been phenomenal. He's been great as of late. Aaron Nola, a 4.59 ERA. He was my Cy Young pick to begin the season. Taiwan Walker, a 5.57 ERA. Craig Kimbrell, who I just mentioned got his 400th save, still has a 5.85 ERA. Gregory Soto, 5.73. He's an all-star. Just going down the list. Sir Anthony Dominguez, 4.05, man. It's just like, you can't be doing this for a team that just made the World Series, that almost beat the Astros. You can't be doing
Not
that.
only that, but this team was living off their pitching. Living off their pitching, especially in the playoffs. I mean, granted, their offense did what they needed to do during the playoffs, but their pitching was absolutely incredible. Their starting pitching was great, and their bullpen was absolutely shut down. I mean, the likes of Sir Anthony Dominguez, David Robertson, he
Yeah,
was
they
one of
had
those
D-Rob last
pieces.
year, Jose Alvarado.
Yeah, I mean, they were just. I remember every time it got to the bullpen, it was sixth or seventh inning, it was done. I mean, you could put a bow on it. If the Phillies were leading by then, it was over because you had a great reliever to come in, and then a great stopper, and then a great closer. Every time, every time without fail, and you can't say that about them right now. Uh, it just isn't clicking.
Absolutely. For the Braves, man, wow, are they clicking? I mean, even with Michael Harris hitting 180 over last year's Rookie of the Year, they're doing great and they're getting performances from all their guys. Ronald Acuna is basically going to win MVP, and it's 50 games in. Sorry. Yeah. I don't know what to say. A 322 average, 569 slugging. He's playing like nobody cares. Sean Murphy has been great. Matt Olson, the average not great, but hey, 16 homers. Ozuna from the Braves. I mean, he's kind of a DICK, but we don't talk about that. His backswing is very interesting to some people, but
Dude, even after the whole thing, he still hits Will Smith with the backswing. I I know I'm a big proponent of new age baseball and not being old age baseball, but there are some people that kind of need to get hit with a baseball from a pitcher. Just saying, some of them out there, not a lot of them. I'm not condoning that. I do not condone that. But if it was olden times, he would have got a baseball in the ear. I know that for a fact.
absolutely, man. He doesn't. I've said it. I don't think he should be in the league anymore. But I mean, he's hitting well. So what can you say? If you're the Braves, you really don't care at this point. Spencer Strider, 297 ERA. Yeah, plug him for a W every time you're going on a bet. Charlie Morton has been great. Bryce Elder, who had to come up for injuries, has a 201 ERA, a 117 WHIP. Are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
I was gonna say he is a very interesting case because he is getting wins and he does not have a high ERA, but he's getting walloped, and it is bizarre because I mean even the game against the Dodgers, they
Yeah.
got like 12 hits and put up 1 run against him. Wild,
The
just
uh, the
wild, man.
announcer was talking
I
about
mean,
it. It's like the advanced numbers are horrible, but he's still getting the success.
hey, you know what? If it's working, it's
If it's
working.
working,
Like
it's working.
you can't argue. Like even one of the stats is like basically your luck factor as a pitcher, and he is absolutely horrendous in that one. And basically saying that he is super lucky as a pitcher. But hey, if you're winning, if it's working with the current way you're doing, you don't have to change nothing. If it's working, it's working. Period. End of story. It's crazy to me. Like the, the- he gets so good when he puts a runner on second base or past it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Maybe it is lucky, and maybe it's gonna catch up to him towards the end of the season. But he's a weird case. He's a real.
Jacob, before we get into our last two series that we really need to cover, I forgot to tell you this. If the let's say if the Padres play tonight, because they don't, they are on an off day. If the Padres play tonight and they lost, right, and the Nationals won tonight's game against the Dodgers, they would have the same record. Yeah, yeah, they would both be at 24-30. In the wild card, Jacob, the Cincinnati Reds are ahead of the Padres. Not only that, the Nationals, Cubs, Rockies, Padres, and Reds are all ahead of the Cardinals.
I would be a liar if I said I didn't enjoy seeing the Padres bottom out like this with the lineup that they have and all of the shit talk that we've heard from their commentators, from their fans, from really everyone in baseball saying that the Padres were better than the Dodgers, which I mean, we agreed on paper before the season started that the roster was shaping up to be better than the Dodgers roster. 100%. We did not deny that for a second. But what we did say was that the Padres have not showed that they can compete very well during regular season. Playoffs, different story. They did what they needed to do. They got a series win of the Dodgers. Great for them. Good for them. Did they play a Dodgers that was playing at full strength? No,
No,
but they got a win. That's what matters. People can call fluke all they want, whatever. Dodgers fans can get salty and say it didn't count. Whatever. Point is, they beat them when it mattered in the playoffs. That being said, you got to put together a season, man. I mean, you have to. You have to with the lineup that they have. There's no excuses. There is flat out no excuses. Their 1, 2, 3, 4 is hands down the best in baseball. I could name you off. I couldn't name you off a better 1, 2, 3, 4 um in baseball as it is. In terms of on paper, nobody better. In terms of actual the way things are playing out, almost everyone is better. It's crazy to me.
absolutely absurd. One of the last few series I want to talk about, Jacob. One of the more exciting series of the weekend to watch the baseball fan. Mariners Pirates. Ooh, pencil me in. But yeah, Jacob, the Mariners end up taking this series, but no, they don't sweep them because the Pirates hit 7 homers in that first game. They came out swinging. Jack Sawinski had a nice game, and they did it against George Kirby. They're like, all right, yeah, we got our ace on the mound, and Mitch Keller. Let's go. Let's get back on this track. And no, they lose the next two. 5-0 in the next game to Luis Castillo. Yep, that's what he does. And in that last game, man, it was down to the wire. In bottom of the 10th inning, Eugenio Suarez, all he does is hit dingers, and he hits a walk-off 3-run dinger. In the Mariners right now.
I've gotta say, the stadium for the Mariners, I have maybe seen maybe two stadiums rival how nuts that stadium was for a walk-off homer during a regular season game. I've maybe seen two stadiums that could rival that. I watched that clip, man. That was so incredible, incredibly called. It was a bomb. The stadium went absolutely nuts, man. It was rocking. It was very fun to see, and I'm really glad to see the M's over 500 right now because that's how they should be playing. Um, over 500 baseball is great, and it was kind of an interesting series, especially since both the Pirates and the Mariners have not been playing great as of recently. Um, but yeah, it sure was an interesting, fun series to watch, huh?
Absolutely. I went as going back what we said about their stadium, man. I went to Seattle over spring break in March. I saw an Angels Mariners game, and it was awesome, dude. Their stadium's awesome. I lit it up at night. The fireworks after each homer. Oh, it was the game that I think they shut them out. It was at like 12 or 11, 2 or 3. Um,
They're a great fan base, man. I mean, when we're talking about loyal fan bases, if we're talking about hype fan bases that don't talk crap to other teams, they've got to be up there in the top three at minimum. I mean, I have not met a Mariners fan that hasn't been super humble, that hasn't been, it's either them cheering for their team or them cheering for their team. Like you don't get this trash talking about other franchises. You don't get that from Mariners fans. At least the
absolutely.
ones that the ones that I've encountered, which I think is very refreshing when you think of the game of baseball. Um, just cheering for your team. It's really great to know that the M's have a real dedicated fan base, one that has dealt with a couple of really bad seasons over the past few years. Um, the exiting of some of their franchise heroes, Felix
Kyle
Hernandez,
Seager.
Ichiro Suzuki, Kyle Seager, and them rolling with the punches, and then them getting a playoffs run that really wasn't expected last season was super cool. I've really learned to fall in love with this Mariners fan base. Really, I mean, it's just it's a fun team, man. It's a fun young team. It's a great fan base. It's a beautiful stadium. Just nothing really is wrong when you think of the franchise. Um, when you take all those factors in, and I think that's so great for the game of baseball. Repping the West Coast. That's
Yeah, and some of their guys that you kind of need them to be going for them, they're going. Julio J. Rod has been back, 14 for 30, a 467 for in his last 7 games, 467 average, 800 slugging. He's doing great. I don't know if you saw Jacob, but his Julio cereal is making some money. If you didn't see that, he has a cereal now. I want to buy it. Yeah. I mean, what else can you say, man? Teoscar Hernandez, he was a question mark at the beginning of the season. He's been doing great of his last few. Cal Raleigh, the same thing. And the pitching man has still been great as ever. Luis Castillo is awesome. Logan Gilbert's awesome. George Kirby is awesome. Bryce Miller, possible rookie of the year out of nowhere if he keeps going with his team because he's been amazing. Go M's, go. Pirates fall below 500 as they continue to struggle and struggle and struggle as of late. Which is not what we want to see. Jack Sawinski has been pretty. Besides that 2 homer game, was struggling a lot. A lot of this Pirates team was struggling a lot. They were fine. They were hitting slumps, and they thought they had a shot. And granted, they put up some good games, but it wasn't enough, man. And I think that we're gonna see this magic continue to die out over the next few weeks.
I would like to give a slight update that Bobby Miller went 1-2-3 in the first inning, and two ground outs and a strikeout. So it's a good start. It's a good start. Let's
Yeah,
hope that that continues.
absolutely. Our last series, or we'll see if it's the last series or not. Big series, the one I enjoyed watching or keeping tabs on. Rangers O's, Jacob. Ooh, pencil me in. What a series in the first. Here is the series score by score. Let's get into it. It was Friday. They had won the game 12. The Rangers won the game 12-2. Saturday they won the game 5-3, and yesterday the Orioles take it 3-2. Now, have the Orioles pitching hasn't been the most amazing, absolutely, but their offense has been great, and to be only scoring around like 3 runs, 2 runs is kind of like, whoa, what are you doing? Not what are you doing, but you'd expect them to pencil in at this point to pencil in 4 or 5 runs to start because that's what they've been doing, but they weren't. Is that part of that being the Rangers being so good? Yeah, abso-freaking-lutely. Adolis Garcia, who has slowed down, still has a 806 OPS while he's slumping. Josh Jung, their rookie, Josh Young, if I pronounced that wrong, sorry, has a 837 OPS. Marcus Simeon has an 854. Corey Seager, who came back from injury, was just like, okay, I'm just gonna pick up where I left off. and he's been great, man. This entire team is great. Like, if I don't want to be too presumptuous because it's still early in the season, but if I was saying who's going to be in the playoffs, let alone maybe the ALCS, I would say the Rangers. And I don't think that's so much of a stretch to say anymore at this point because of how good they've been. Nathan Eovaldi has been probably the Cy Young winner in my opinion. So far in the season, Andrew Heaney has a 3.76 average. ERA, sorry. John Gray has a 2.81. Jacob DeGrom, who's injured still, he has a 2.67. They're doing it without the best pitcher in baseball. Actually, I can't
Well,
even say that because the best pitcher in baseball is
I
Nathan Eovaldi.
I was gonna say you be careful with that because could he be the best pitcher in baseball? Yes. Will he stay healthy to be the best pitcher in baseball? No, at least not yet. But I want you to pencil something into your calendar because it's very important. We have got the Rangers and the Rays facing off, duking it out in what you would like to think could be a very early matchup of the AL Championship uh, on Friday, June 9th, 10th, 11th. You got a three game series where they're gonna lock horns and we're gonna see whose offense is better. Man, that's gonna be a fun one to
That
tune in.
is it.
I mean, I'm expecting at least two very close games. I imagine one of those is probably going to be a blowout to one of those teams. Um, but I expect at least two very, very good, exciting games. So keep that on the schedule because that's going to be a very fun series to watch, especially if these two teams continue at the pace they are.
Absolutely. I mean, even on the O side, I mean, not the most awesome series you want to see as an O's fan, but they're still kicking and going, man. And I honestly have so much hope and love for this organization because they're such a fun organization. I think it was today I saw that Mullins did leave early with a groin injury. I don't know what exactly it was, but yeah, prayers to him. Hopefully he gets better soon. But I think that's what we most need to cover. Quick opinion though, because I need your opinion on this, and I don't know if it's just me being a Dodger fan getting hurt by the loss or something, but Jose Siri got on my nerves this weekend from the Rays. From the bat flips to the cracking his bat after a one strikeout. I don't know, man. He was just acting like he was the king of the world. I don't know if it was just me that I was feeling.
I don't hate it. I like seeing emotion. Obviously, I like seeing emotion from my own team. I like to see the Dodgers showing emotion. Love to see their pitchers get hype when they get out of a tough situation. I don't mind seeing batters go down when they really feel like they could have done something better or in a better way. So I don't hate it. Um yeah, I guess I'll leave it at that. I don't hate it. If it was more directed at the Dodgers, then my feelings probably would have changed. Like if it's a screw you, I'm better, then that's where I'm like, okay, settle down there, buddy. But if it's damn, I'm really good, or damn, I could be better, but I'm doing something dumb, or I swung at a pitch that I shouldn't have, or something like that. I don't hate it. Even like pimp jobs, when you hit a bomb home run,
Oh, I love
I,
pitch
I
jobs. Yeah,
I've gotten
absolutely.
I've gotten much more acclimated to that, even from the enemy team, doing it. Hey, you know what? If you get a fastball down the middle and you send it to the moon, good for you. Let's not do that again next time. Um, but I'm okay. I'm okay with it. I don't hate it. Um, but like I said, as long as it's not directed to like the enemy team, but it's like yourself, you're either hyping yourself up or kind of upset at yourself. Um, then it's cool in my book.
Yep, and thank you for joining us on this episode of Let's Talk Baseball. We are so excited to be back. Summer baseball is here. I'm done with school Wednesday, so that's gonna be fun. You're moving out to Vegas. So you're gonna be there when the A Stadium opens in a couple years. It's gonna be great, man. Summer baseball is here. We're excited. In a week, we're gonna be saying how the Dodgers sweep the Yankees. I can already feel it. Fingers crossed. By the way, I'm Michael Herrera, joined by your good friend and by my good friend and co-host Jacob Payne, and we will see you next time.